Hi guys, it's Tammy with Pretty Presets, and I am actually over in Photoshop today instead of in Lightroom. I like to be in Lightroom, but I also do like learning things in Photoshop and learning the sky overlays and learning about the lens flares are actually the two things that got me over to Photoshop. They're two things that I really wanted to learn. And I'm so glad that I did because it really showed me that I can use Photoshop. It made it not seem so confusing and so overwhelming. And as soon as I mastered those two skills, it made me realize all the other things that I really could learn in Photoshop. So this is even easier, I think, than sky replacements. The flares are even easier, and that's what I'm going to show you today. And tell you a little bit of the reasons why I choose the flares that I choose and how I think they're going to look natural in the photo. So for this one here, we obviously can tell the sun is coming from the left side of her, the left side of the screen onto her. So we definitely want a flare that's going to come from the left and go towards the right. But I don't want to use a flare necessarily with a lot of like the circles, because the sun is not coming towards my camera at all. We can really tell here that the sun is going this direction. It's not coming towards my lens, and that's really the only way to get that kind of flare with the circles, is if the sun is somewhat coming towards your lens and coming into your lens. So I want to use more of like a starburst effect where maybe the sun was really strong over here to the left. So it's super, super simple. You're just going to open up your photo here in Photoshop that you want to use. You're going to come over to File, come down to Place Linked. Place Embedded or Place Linked does the same thing here. So Place Linked, you might have to then navigate to where you have your sun flares in your downloads or wherever you put them. I like to go ahead and then make this screen a little bit bigger because it helps you be able to see the flares a little bit better and see which direction they're going. Now, it doesn't matter that this one is coming from the right. I can easily swap this over and have it starting on the left side over here. So don't count one out because it's going the wrong direction for what you need. That is totally customizable. So I just sort of click down through them and see which one I feel like is going to look good. Here, I want to use this one because, like I said, I don't want to use these ones with a lot of circles and stuff because the sun wouldn't be coming into my lens in that way. So this would be like just a really nice sun from over here. We can tell it's kind of strong, and the light is sort of strong here in this picture. So I just clicked place, and then you can see it brought it up here, and you want to drag it over so that it does cover your photo. But I also, I don't want it to look like the sun was right here exactly in my photo. I want it slightly more out of the frame up here in the corner. So I just grabbed hold of it and slid it up. Very, very easy. And then I'm going to bring this back down to match my photo. And then right up here, up top, we're going to do the little check mark. And it'll work for a second, and then it's placed. Now, you just come right over here to the right, and it says normal with a drop-down menu. It's right next to opacity, right under where it says kind. Click that down and choose screen. And there you go. Bam, beautiful flare there to the side. Now, if you feel like your flare is too strong for the photo or it's taking away too much, here it's covering these bushes just a little bit too much. I feel like it's a little bit too strong. So I'm going to come right over here to the right side to the opacity, click on it, and turn it down to maybe like 75% in the 70s. I like that a little bit better, in the mid 70s. Also, if you've already gotten to this step, but then you go, oh no, I need to move it up a little bit or down a little bit, it's totally fine. And even if you've clicked on one of these other things and you need to go back, it's the top. This is the move tool, is that top tool, and you can still click on it and drag it and adjust it. And sometimes it's actually easier to adjust it once you've already applied it like this, because then you can see through and you can see your photo and what you're doing with it. So I think that's a totally believable spot. The sun is coming from the left. The photo is brighter over here on the left. It's coming this direction. It's shining down on her. And I think in this photo that really, it adds to it and it's believable, which are two really important things. You want them to add something to the photo and you want it to be believable. You want somebody to go, did she really just get a really awesome flare? You know, you want somebody to really, to not question whether or not it's authentic. Okay, we're gonna switch on to the next one here. And this photo is a little bit darker. And it's not something that maybe you would think you're going to use a flare on, but the reason that I chose it is because it is backlit. In a lot of situations like this, you can have really cool flare coming through the tree and the leaves around here. And I also wanted to sort of create a little bit of a barrier between me and them because I think it'll be a little bit more romantic looking, sort of this flared barrier between the subject and the viewer. So once again, I'm going to come right over here to File, come down to Place Linked. It's going to open up my box here. And once you've gone into here, it'll probably pop it up for you the next time that you're in Photoshop. It'll sort of remember the file that you were in. So on this photo here, I actually like this very first flare. And if I'm looking at it in comparison to my picture, I can see that the brightest part, the part that would be the sun, basically, the brightest part here is going to hit my photo right around in this piece of the tree right here, which is where you would really get a natural flare. If you were shooting backlit like this, you could absolutely get peaks of sun coming through here and you could get a very natural flare. And that's something you have to look for. You have to find where would I naturally get a flare in this photo. So I'm going to hit place. And it already fit my photo pretty well. Just adjust that a tiny bit. Click your little up top, the button up top. And then come over here to normal, screen. And there you go. Perfect. And I mean, to me, with the sun behind them and the sun here, you know, the brightness in the sky, this totally is believable to me that the sun was coming through the trees, hit my lens, and created this beautiful flare in front of them. So that's that one. Let's head on to the next. Okay, this one is, the reason I love this is because the clouds. When you have big clouds like this, it's a great place to sort of be able to place the bright part of your flare and have it believable that the cloud came right in front of the sun, but the sun was more of like a filter, so that bright is still coming through and created a really cool flare on something like this. So a big cloud in the corner of a photo is just a perfect spot to add a flare. Perfect, perfect spot. So I'm gonna once again, File, Place Linked. It's going to pop it up here, make it a little bit bigger, and you can just sort of start scrolling through. I know on this one already, I've looked through, and I like number 21. I like these very cool colors throughout it. I think that the bright green and the purple and the pink is going to go really pretty with the tones of the photo that I already have. And that's important. And also right here where this bright part is, that's gonna fit really nicely with my cloud right here. So I'm gonna hit place. And here it is. I'm gonna line it up with my photo. And you do want to try and fit it over your photo because there is a little bit, even though it doesn't look like it, this comes, you know, quite a bit out. So you don't want just a weird line across your picture where you stopped it. So you do want this to cover your whole photo. And then you're gonna hit your check mark there. Come over here where it says normal on the right side, click it down, hit screen, and voila, perfect. And I don't think that anybody would ever look at this and say, oh no, there's no way the sun was coming from right there. I mean, that really looks like the sun is behind that cloud It's the right direction. The sun is shining on the front of the boys. It's a bright sun. It's midday. This is absolutely a situation that you could 100% catch this flare in camera. This could have been, this really looks like it could have come straight out of your camera. So we're gonna move on here. Here's the fourth one. And this is actually my favorite flare that I'm gonna use on this one, and I don't get to use it very often because it is the rainbow flare, and that's, first of all, it's really hard to get in camera, and second of all, you can't use a big rainbow flare on every single photo. So once again, we're gonna be File, Place Linked. It's gonna pop up your box here. And I am going to use number 2, which is this really awesome rainbow flare. And I'm gonna hit place. And it's gonna pop it up here. There you go. Sometimes if you have Lightroom and Photoshop running at the same time, try not to get frustrated because it really can sort of bog down the computer. So try not to be crazy with your clicking. Just give it a minute and let it catch up. So here I can see that it's going to show basically that my sun is at the very top of the screen, which is an awesome place for it to come from, because when you're taking a picture, a lot of times that's what you do when you're setting up, where you're taking it. You're moving that camera just slightly up and down to either, if you tilt it up a little bit, catch that sun, you'll get a flare. If you take it down a little bit. So the edge of your photo is a perfect place to start this brightest part of your flare. If it's at the top, if it's at the top corner, if it's off to one side, it's a perfect place to be at the edge of something. So we are going to hit the little check mark, come over here where it says normal, change it to screen, and voila, a beautiful rainbow flare. And perfect cloud right here behind it. This cloud looks like the sun is just filtering through it perfectly, and the filter came, and the flare came right around. So you really, 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 you've got to look to where your sun came from, if there actually could be sun in the scenario. If you're in a completely shaded area where there's absolutely no sort of light and shade, light and shadow, it's probably not the best for a lens flare. So really look at what you've got and decide where the sun naturally is coming from, how you could have created a real flare in your camera in that situation, and then try and start your flare there, and you're gonna get the most realistic results. So I hope that helped you out with this. You can see how easy it is. Very few clicks. You're not getting into using a lot of the tools. You're not needing to use brushes and stuff like that. You can change it really easy over here with the opacity. This is super, super, super simple. If you can do Lightroom, you can do this in Photoshop. So if you have any more questions, let me know. The video is going to be in the forum and on our YouTube page. So thank you so much.